back into Cougar Sports Saturday. Kyle Ireland, Mitch Harper, live from Boulder, Colorado, as we are about 6 hours away from BYU kicking things off against CU here near Mile High. But end of the first quarter, Mitch, Utah has a 14-0 lead over West Virginia, and Baylor and Oklahoma State are knotted up at 7. Cincinnati ended up coming out with a 3-point win over Kansas on the road, and UCF fell for the first time this season as they lost to the Kansas State Wildcats 34-20.
Busy day in the Big 12 Conference, and BYU will be the nightcap at 8:20 p.m. Extended pregame will begin with you and I, Kyle, getting things started at 6 o'clock, and then BYU and the Buffs, first time here at Folsom Field since 1981, first conference meeting between BYU and Colorado since 1947. Last year, they, of course, played in the Alamo Bowl, but that wasn't a conference game. Colorado was deemed the Pac-12 team in that bowl tie-in, so it was technically a non-conference game, if you will. A guy that has a chance to try to attack this Colorado defense that's been struggling at times this season is BYU offensive coordinator Aaron Roderick, who's coming on the heels of a balanced offensive attack last week against East Carolina in the victory over the Pirates. And I asked Aaron Roderick this week in kind of a media scrum setting, what stands out with Colorado's defense?
Just good players. Yeah, this will be the best, most talented team we've played yet this year. A lot of team speed, and they're tough and really well coached.
Colorado's rush defense is struggling right now. Are you making sure to keep your guys humble heading into this matchup?
That's all we talk about every week is 1 week at a time, be humble and learn. You know, we're trying to learn from everything we can do better each week. And, we have tons of respect for these guys. We know they're a good team, and we got to go play at their place. It's going to be hostile, and crowd noise is going to be a factor. So we have our work cut out for us for sure.
What caused Baird in the second half at East Carolina to settle in and find his rhythm as a quarterback?
He just was more accurate in the second half. First half, he made great decisions. That's why I wasn't worried. You know, the point total, I don't think, at halftime didn't reflect how well we were actually playing. We were moving the ball, executing very well, and Baird just missed a couple of open throws that would have been touchdowns. You know, the first play of the game should have been a touchdown, and he just missed it, and that's okay. A couple other plays in that half where he was just a little off. He was going to the right guy and doing the right things with the ball, and we were just a little off. But had a lot of confidence at halftime. We were going to regroup and score points in the second half, and that's what we did.
How much do you enjoy as a play caller to have a young player, yet you can still dig into your bag of play calls?
It's nice. We have to find a good balance every week of not having too many of those, that it's just, that first of all, we don't want to just slow the game down to a grinding halt. We're not trying to do that. We want to play in rhythm, and also just being smart about not putting too much on his plate. But so far, he's been able to handle everything we've given him.
How have you felt about the amount of contact Bear has taken in the first 3 games?
Really good question. Bear's a physical player, and he likes contact, so we have to be smart about managing that. And I think so far we're finding the right balance of, we're mixing in a little bit of QB run when we feel like it can help us expose the defense, and but we're not going to be reckless about it either. Those hits add up over the course of the year, and so we have to be wise about when we use those. But he is a threat with his legs, as you can see. I mean, he's a very good runner, and the threat of that, I think, forces defenses to account for him every play. And then I think it's been a factor in why our passing game opened up last game. The first two games we didn't need to throw, so we didn't even really try. And then this last game we knew we were going to need to throw to win, and it's going to get harder from now on. So you're going to see the passing game continue to be a factor, but that QB run game helps slow down, defenses, how many different variations of pressures and coverages you're going to see, because they all have to be sound against the quarterback run game.
How hungry is this offense to go out and have another opportunity to chase a Big 12 title?
We're just focused on winning this game this week. I think the only way, that's in the back of everyone's mind. I think every team in this conference wants to win the conference. And the way you do that is you stay focused on the task at hand. Just win this week. Go 1-0 this week. We haven't won a Big 12 game yet. So, right, we're 3-0, but this is our first Big 12 game, and we want to get in the win column.
What do you attribute Bears' success taking care of the football through 3 games?
He showed it in fall camp. He's an excellent decision maker, and I think we try to our scheme accounts for that. I mean, we have a lot of different pass protections, and we give people a lot of different variety of looks, and try to make it hard to get to our quarterback. And then we have a good run game, and those things both help the quarterback. But most of all, it's just he's a good decision maker, and he's doing a great job protecting the ball.
Kalani has a well-documented connection to Deion, Coach Prime Sanders. Have you crossed paths with Coach Prime at all?
I haven't, but I was a huge fan of him as a player, and I'm a big fan of him as a coach. I'm super impressed with everything he's done there. And, he's a flashy player, but he's an old-school coach, and he's running an old-school program. Those guys are tough. They play hard. At the bowl game, all of our interactions with their team, they were all class. I have a lot of respect for these guys and tons of respect for Coach Prime.
Yeah, there is a lot of respect, Mitch, between these two programs, and you saw that even back in December at the Alamo Bowl, what these two coaching staffs think about each other, the style of play that they each play, and the respect for the game. I'm interested to see how different this game is compared to that Alamo Bowl, because obviously there's some carryover between the rosters, coaching staff, etc. But this BYU team, I feel like, is such a better team than even the one that was in that Alamo Bowl last season. And then on the Colorado side of things, they look a lot different, obviously, with the guys they lost to the NFL and to graduation. But tonight, what do you think as far as Aaron Roderick's play calling? I feel like Aaron Roderick has really, so to speak, been in his bag this season. I haven't had much to complain about as far as his play calls are concerned. Maybe, when you look at the beginning of games where it's some of those scripted plays, maybe they could break out of that a little bit sooner to adapt to what they're seeing as far as the defense is concerned. But what have you thought about his play calling so far this season, and what do you expect it to look like tonight against the Buffs?
I think it's been fine. I think that last week was a step in the right direction coming out of a bye week. I thought the Stanford game was a little too conservative at times. BYU needed a little bit of jolt. I know they didn't feel stressed in that game, but I thought that one was a little bit conservative. I thought the East Carolina game was really good balance. Where they had a good feel when East Carolina was stacking the box. BYU hit them over the top and, found Carson Ryan through the air, and they turned to the passing attack. And they showed enough last week in the East Carolina game. They can do it at a high level on both phases of the offense, passing or running the football. Whereas through the first 2 weeks, it felt like it's just ground and pound, running the football. And look, the Portland State game was just kind of I don't really put much into that game at all. It's just kind of a game that really inflated the stats for BYU. But it gave you a little bit of proof of concept of how explosive BYU can be on the ground. But I thought last week was a really balanced effort. And I thought Aaron Roderick had a nice call and was just settled, and he's very comfortable with Bear. And we've seen Aaron Roderick, when he has success with a quarterback and there's a comfort level with that QB, it can be great things for BYU. And we saw that with Zach. We saw that with Jaron Hall. And I will say that the timeline for Bear Bachmeier has really moved up quite a bit as far as really he's backed up the narrative of he knows the playbook. Like, they're throwing a lot of stuff at him, and he's passing with flying colors.
Do you think that they're going to be aggressive like they were to start off the game against East Carolina, where they took that shot down the far side of the field where Parker Kingston, was just barely out of bounds there?
Yes, I do.
I wonder if that's something that we're just going to continue to see open up, even to start games, because, it was a slow first half there for BYU until the last 4 minutes or so, but I did like the fact that they took that shot early on in that game.
I do too, and I think they will take some early shots in that first drive tonight when they take on the Buffs here at Folsom Field. Mitch Harper, Kyle Ireland, we're live in Boulder, Colorado. 3 and Out is next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.